Hello and welcome back to What the Fox. Today we're going to be looking at who can Leicester City bring in to replace Brendan Rodgers and what can they bring to the club.
What the Fox?
Leicester City have just lost their 5th straight defeat in all competitions. Brendan Rodgers has won just 7 league games this season. We're 1 point off the relegation places, and the question often asked is, who do we get in to replace him? Okay, so first of all, we're going to rule out a few managers straight off the bat. So, Poch, who was at PSG at his last club, obviously a Champions League club, Tottenham Hotspur before that, we have got no chance. And the same can be said for Thomas Tuchel, who was last at Chelsea and he was a Champions League winner. It's not going to happen. Apparently he's turned down clubs already because they've not got European football. We don't stand a chance. Thomas Frank is another name that always gets thrown into the hat, and currently Brentford are flying, and it's not going to happen. You're not going to leave a mid-table club at the moment for a relegation fodder club like us. Ange Postecoglou over at Celtic, again, I can't see it happening. Personally, I wouldn't want to go for him anyway because, as Brendan Rodgers has proven, your nan can win the league in Scotland. No offence, Scotland. Next up are managers that I just wouldn't give the time of day. They'll no doubt be on the shortlist, they'll no doubt put their CVs in, but I would not touch them. You've got Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Marcelo Bielsa, Jesse Marsch, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Dean Smith, Scott Parker, Daniel Farke, Neil Lennon. I mean, come on, what's Neil Lennon done since he was at Celtic? It just, no. Same goes for Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. They've lived off the playing careers. You know, Gerrard again, he's another one. Did it up in Rangers, did nothing for Aston Villa. Aston Villa fans hated him in the end. They really, really needed him gone. Frank Lampard again, you know, at Everton, he might not have been backed, but look at what Sean Dyche is doing with that Everton side. That's the same side that Lampard had, and it goes to show that he just isn't up for a relegation battle and we can't touch him. Marcelo Bielsa probably would take us down. I'm not sure he would take the role in the first place, but you know, he'll probably take us down because he needs time to implement what he needs to do. And I also don't think our squad's fit enough. We have enough issues with injuries as it is.
Hello.
Without having Bielsa come in and running them ragged. So, 5 managers that could replace Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. The first up on the list, I mean, I think everyone's mentioned this at some point, and I don't think is a very popular opinion, especially as the last man we had from Southampton was Claude Puel. But Ralph Hasenhüttl is unemployed and he has a 39.55% win ratio throughout his career. His tactical style is a 4-2-2-2 or a 3-5-2. Now, looking at the pros, he's unemployed, so we don't have to pay a fee. He fits the club's philosophy with buy to sell, which he's had a lot of success with over the years. Transfers at Leipzig were extremely successful. He has experience getting teams promoted, which he did at VfR Aalen, from Freeliga and Ingolstadt from 2 Bundesliga. He took Ingolstadt from the bottom to 10th in his first year, won the 2 Bundesliga the following year, finished mid-table in the Bundesliga in their first year, which is quite an achievement, it must be said. He has experience of successful relegation battles with Ingolstadt and Southampton. He took Leipzig to 2nd in the Bundesliga, and he has experience managing in the Premier League. He kept Southampton in the league, and he could get the best out of Bertrand and Vestergaard, which I'm not sure many fans actually see as a perk, to be honest, but there we go. He's worked with the head of recruitment, Martin Glover, at Southampton as well. He's not a very popular choice, as the cons will show. You know, he had huge defeats against Leicester and Man United while at Southampton. He plays uninspiring football at times. I mean, I remember that Southampton weren't exactly a great side to watch under Hasenhüttl. There's no guarantees he'll keep us up either, and there's no guarantees he'll get us back up. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's the worst choice we could go for, but I know that what he did at Southampton hasn't really inspired a lot of people, and that could put a lot of people off as a choice. But I think we could do worse, but we could also do better, which brings us on to the next choice. Now again, I don't think Rafa Benitez is a popular choice amongst fans, and possibly because his time at Newcastle was a little unflattering with the football, but he did give them a sound defence and he did keep them up. He also got them promoted from the Championship. He's a very decorated manager. He's done everything in reality, and just looking at his profile now, he's got a 48.8% win ratio throughout his career. He's aged just 62 and he's unemployed, so it won't cost us anything to get him in. His tactical style is a 4-2-3-1. He's well known for his squad rotation and his zonal marking. Now, the pros of someone like Rafa Benitez is that he would sort our defence out. He's known as quite a good defensive coach, and I do think that he would sort our defensive woes out. He managed to keep Everton up, which is a statement in itself. He's managed at the highest level, and he has won almost everything. He's the kind of calibre of manager that could attract real talent given money, and therefore I think that, from that point of view, keeping us up and actually improving us, he might not be a bad shout. The cons of someone like Rafa Benitez is it's not the most attractive football at times. I don't know if that's just because of what happened at Everton and Newcastle and he didn't have the right players and he wasn't backed, which there is some truth to. Throughout his career, he's managed some great clubs. Valencia before he went to Liverpool and Inter Milan, Chelsea, Napoli, Real Madrid, and then since then it has been a bit of a downfall. He's been at Newcastle United, Darley and Professional, where his record in China was not good at all. It was 31.6% win ratio, and then at Everton, which was also not the most successful period, at a 31.8% win ratio. But what I will say is that I can bet your life that Everton fans wish they had him for this season. Rafa's managerial honours are quite impressive, it has to be said. 2 top-tier titles, both in La Liga with Real Madrid. He's won one other league title, which was the Championship with Newcastle United. He got that promotion with Newcastle United. 5 European Cup. What do you think to Rafa? Let me know in the comments. Next up is probably the most realistic target on this list. That's Frank Hayes, who's currently at RC Lens with a 46.49% win ratio. He's aged 51 and Lens is his first managerial position. However, when he took over Lens, they got promoted to League One. It was a little bit by default because of COVID, but since then, he's completely overtaken the French league in many ways. In their first season up there, he finished 7th. The next season, he finished 7th. And currently, Lens are in 3rd in Ligue 1, which is pretty impressive, I have to say. The cons of someone like him is he doesn't speak good English and he's quite inexperienced. But the football that they play is brilliant. They're very much the Leicester City of the French league, RC Lens, and he could really be worth a gamble. He doesn't have any managerial honours to speak of at the moment, but that could all change when he joins Leicester City in a club with a bit more clout. He could be an exciting acquisition. The problem is, there's no guarantee again. There are no guarantees that anyone will keep us up, but there are no guarantees. And there's no guarantees that he'll adapt to the English league either. Next up will be a name that should be on many people's lips, especially as Burnley Football Club have just announced that the EFL have put them under a transfer embargo, and that is Vincent Kompany. He's got a 65.12 win ratio currently at 36 years of age, only having had 2 jobs. Previously at Anderlecht and now at Burnley, who are topping the Championship table. He plays a 4-2-3-1, which suits very much our style currently, and his lifetime win ratio is 51.85%. Now, Burnley have only lost twice all season. Their goal difference is plus 43, which is 19 more than their next closest in Sheffield United. They've scored 71 goals in 36 games, and Burnley have just been put under a transfer embargo, which makes him a very real prospect, even if they get promoted. The cons with someone like Kompany is that he is relatively inexperienced. He struggled a little bit at Anderlecht, considering the Belgian league, there aren't many big clubs, and Anderlecht is probably right up there with the biggest. He did struggle and he finished 3rd in his final season. He might not be interested in joining us from first place Burnley. Leaving there for a relegation battle is quite a big risk for someone so early in their managerial career. But again, with their transfer embargo, he might just be tempted. Next on the list, and my personal favourite, the pick that I would go for and I would go all out for, is also one that the reality is it might be pie in the sky. I could be shooting way above the mark here. However, having said that, I'm very surprised that Wolves didn't go for him when they were out of manager. Ruben Amorim, who is currently at Sporting Lisbon. He's aged 38, so he's relatively young, but his career has been outstanding to date. He plays a 3-4-3 tactical style and concentrates on wing-backs, which suits us because we have so many wing-backs at the club. Ruben Amorim is responsible for winning Sporting's first league title in 19 years. he could be tempted to join us just because of the gulf in finances. However, I do think that he might be setting his sights far higher, as he's at a Champions League club. He's been very successful at Sporting. He might not want to risk his reputation on a relegation fight. Amorim did very, very well at his previous clubs. He was at Braga previously, where he had a 76.92% win ratio, which goes to show that he doesn't have to be at the biggest club in the country to make it work. Sporting, had a 69.18% win ratio, which again is just so impressive. The guy's won 1 league title so far and 4 domestic cups. I would be going all out for Ruben Amorim. So there's 5 names that I've explored for you that could be the next manager of Leicester City. There are a few outside shouts that have been mentioned. There's Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough, who has won 71% of his games so far at Middlesbrough in his first position. I do think it's a little bit too soon for someone like Carrick, but I mean, you know, why not? Why not? Ruud van Nistelrooy at PSV has a 63.41%, but again, with certain managers at certain clubs, I do always worry, you know, if you take over someone like PSV, there aren't that many big clubs in Holland, and if you're not doing well with PSV, you get sacked very quickly. So is it as impressive as it looks? I don't know. John Dole Thomason at Blackburn, who obviously recently beat us. We saw firsthand that they play some lovely football. Will Still is a man on everyone's lips as the man who Ream has to pay, was it £20,000, £22,000 a week because he doesn't have the right coaching badges. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job there. I think they're on a 19-game unbeaten run at the moment. He has a 48.57% win rate currently, and you know, you could do worse. The problem is he's inexperienced. You know, there's no guarantee he'll recreate that at Leicester, and it could be too big a job too soon for him, perhaps. And lastly, you couldn't do a new manager of Leicester YouTube video without mentioning the man, the myth, the legend, Big Nige Pearson. Currently at Bristol City and flying. He has a 39.27% win ratio throughout his career, so the lowest of all managers that have been mentioned. But there's nostalgia there, and you know, I know that Lee Chappie, big shout out to Chappie, had mentioned on one of his tweets recently, you know, would you take your girl back after she's been with 5 other men? And most people probably wouldn't, unless that does it for you. It's the same kind of thing with Nigel Pearson. You know, do you really want to take your ex back? And we've done it twice already, and you know, he's had his time at Leuven as well, which didn't quite work out. It's nostalgia, you know. I loved Nigel Pearson, I really did. I even loved his dry interviews and the way that he treated the press at times. I thought it was hilarious. But I don't think you can go back there in reality. It would be the dream, you know, and we've all mentioned it, that to have get the band back together with Nigel Pearson and Shaky, you know, get Andy King back in the midfield whilst we're at it, and Danny Simpson at right back. Why not? But no, on a serious note, they're the outside shouts, and you know, although they could be on the list, you know, Carrick in particular, John Dole Thomason, another name, you know, they could be good managers for us. So, you know, it goes to show that there are plenty of managers out there that can answer that question of who do you get in instead. Most people currently are just saying anyone, but this list shows that you don't have to have just anyone. There are managers out there. As always, smash us a like, subscribe, share the video, let people know what your thoughts are, put a comment in the comments and let me know what you think. Until next time.
What the fucks?